Hyun Park's day started like any other Thursday morning in Seoul. She woke up at 5:30 a.m., made breakfast for her 8-year-old son Do-yoon, and packed his lunch while he got ready for school. The morning sunlight was just beginning to peek through their small apartment's windows as she helped him tie his shoelaces. "Mom, don't forget Mr. Kim's cat needs medicine today," Do-yoon said as he put on his backpack. Hyun smiled at her son's thoughtfulness. Mr. Kim's cat had been their special responsibility for the past 5 years. "I remembered, sweetheart. Now hurry, or you'll be late for school." She kissed his forehead and watched him run down the street to meet his friends at the bus stop. Hyun worked as a veterinary technician at a small clinic in their neighborhood. The pay wasn't great, but it let her stay close to home and take care of Do-yoon. Plus, she loved working with animals. After dropping off Do-yoon, she walked to the elderly Mr. Kim's house, just 3 blocks from their apartment. Mr. Kim was one of their special cases. He never brought his cat to the clinic. Instead, Hyun visited his home every Thursday to give his beautiful white cat its medicine. Today, something felt different as she rang the doorbell. The door opened slowly, and Mr. Kim stood there. He looked weaker than usual, his normally neat appearance slightly disheveled. "Hyun, please come in. We need to talk." Hyun followed him inside. The house was the same as always, clean but filled with strange objects she had never understood. Glass balls that seemed to glow from within, crystals that hummed softly, and paintings of places that couldn't exist on Earth. "Sit down, please." Mr. Kim pointed to a chair while holding his cat, Snow, in his arms. "I don't have much time left, and there are things you need to know." Hyun's heart sank. She had noticed him getting weaker over the past few months, but hearing him say it made it real. "Mr. Kim, should I call a doctor?" He shook his head and smiled. "No doctor on Earth can help me, Hyun. You see, I'm not from here." She thought he meant he wasn't from Seoul, but then he waved his hand over one of the glass balls. It floated into the air, spinning slowly and projecting a map of stars she had never seen before. "I'm from a place called the Stellar Commonwealth," he said calmly, as if telling her about a neighborhood in Busan. "My real name is Tao, and I've been hiding on Earth for 50 years. Hyun sat very still, her mind trying to make sense of what she was seeing. The cat in Mr. Kim's arms, Snow, suddenly shimmered, its white fur becoming slightly translucent, showing rainbow colors underneath. "I chose this planet because humans look so much like my people," he continued. "I needed a safe place to hide after my wife died. But now I have a daughter to protect, and I need your help." Before Hyun could respond, Mr. Kim stood up shakily and walked to what she had always thought was a closet. When he opened it, she saw a small nursery bathed in soft purple light. Inside was a baby girl, sleeping peacefully in a floating crib. "This is Miri," he said softly. "She looks human now, but as she grows, she'll start showing signs of her heritage. I've watched you with Do-yoon for years. I've seen your kindness, your strength, and your ability to keep secrets. That's why I chose you." Hyun found her voice at last. "Chose me for what?" Mr. Kim sat down again, his breathing becoming labored. "To inherit everything. My fortune, my businesses across 12 star systems, and most importantly, to be Miri's mother. She needs someone who understands love, family, and the importance of staying hidden until she's old enough to protect herself." The room spun around Hyun. She thought about Do-yoon, about their small apartment, about her struggles to pay bills each month. "But I don't know anything about star systems or alien businesses." Mr. Kim smiled and pressed a small crystal into her hand. It was warm and pulsed with a gentle light. "This contains everything you need to know. It will teach you gradually, as you're ready to learn. There's also enough money in Earth currencies to make sure you and Do-yoon are comfortable while you learn." "Why me?" Hyun whispered, looking at the sleeping baby. "Because you love without conditions," he said simply. "When you found out Do-yoon was different, that he learned differently from other children, You didn't try to change him. You changed his world to fit him. That's what Miri will need. Hae-yun remembered those difficult early years when Do-yoon was diagnosed with ADHD. She had rearranged their entire lives to help him thrive, never seeing it as a burden. Mr. Kim's breathing became more labored. There's no time left. Will you accept? Will you be her mother and protect my legacy until she's ready? Hae-yun looked at the sleeping baby, then at the crystal in her hand. She thought about Do-yoon, who had always wanted a sister. She thought about all the times Mr. Kim had helped them, mysteriously knowing when they needed something, like the time Do-yoon's expensive school books appeared on their doorstep when she couldn't afford them. Yes, she said firmly. I'll take care of her. I'll protect her. Mr. Kim smiled, relief washing over his face. He pressed another crystal, this one blue, into her hand. This will make everything legal, both by Earth laws and Commonwealth laws. Press your thumb to it. She did, and the crystal flashed brightly. Mr. Kim closed his eyes, looking peaceful. Thank you, Hae-yun. The house is yours now. Move in as soon as you can. Everything here will help protect you and the children. As the sun set that evening, Mr. Kim passed away quietly in his sleep. Hae-yun held baby Miri, who had woken up, and was looking at her with eyes that seemed too wise for an infant. Do-yoon sat beside them, completely unfazed by the fact that his new baby sister occasionally glowed in the dark. She's pretty, Do-yoon said, holding Miri's tiny hand. Can I teach her about dinosaurs when she's bigger? Hae-yun laughed softly, tears in her eyes. Yes, sweetheart, you can teach her about dinosaurs. She looked around at the house that was now theirs, at the strange objects that she would soon understand, and at the two children who were now her responsibility. As night fell over Seoul, the crystal in her pocket began its first lesson, whispering softly in her mind about the basics of galactic trading routes and the proper care of quantum-enabled pets. Hae-yun listened while making dinner for Do-yoon, wondering what their neighbors would think when they moved into Mr. Kim's house tomorrow. She had a feeling life was about to become very interesting indeed. 1 month after moving into Mr. Kim's house, Hae-yun sat at the kitchen table at midnight, staring at a hologram that floated above her coffee cup. The house had slowly revealed its secrets to her, and tonight she was trying to understand the basics of managing a space station. So the blue section is where they store the fuel? She asked the crystal, which now hung as a pendant around her neck. Correct, the crystal replied in her mind. The trading station in the Proxima system serves as a refueling point for ships traveling between Earth's sector and the inner Commonwealth. Hae-yun rubbed her tired eyes. She still worked at the veterinary clinic during the day, but her nights were filled with lessons about her new responsibilities. The crystal, which she had named Teacher, was patient and explained everything in simple terms. A soft cry came from upstairs. Miri was awake. Hae-yun hurried up to the nursery, where the baby's crib floated gently in the air. As she picked up Miri, the baby's skin sparkled slightly in the dark, like tiny stars were trapped just beneath the surface. Hungry again. Hae-yun smiled, reaching for the special formula Teacher had shown her how to make. It looked like normal baby formula, but had small crystals dissolved in it that Miri needed to grow healthy. Do-yoon appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. Mom, can I help feed her? It's late, sweetheart. You have school tomorrow. But I heard Teacher explaining about the space station. Can I learn too? Hae-yun looked at her son's eager face. Do-yoon had taken to their new life with amazing ease. The same energy that made it hard for him to sit still in class made him excellent at absorbing information about alien technology and cultures. Okay, one lesson. But first, help me feed your sister. They sat together in the nursery's floating chairs. Do-yoon held Miri's bottle while Hae-yun supported her head. Teacher projected a small hologram of the space station they had been discussing. See those bright spots? Hae-yun explained to Do-yoon. Those are shops where different aliens sell things from their homeworlds, just like the markets we visit here in Seoul, but in space. Cool. Can we visit someday? Before Heyun could answer, teacher gave a soft warning chime. Someone was approaching the house. The holograms vanished instantly, and the floating furniture settled silently to the floor. "It's Jai-Ho," teacher announced in their minds. Jai-Ho was Heyun's best friend from the veterinary clinic, and she had been getting suspicious about their sudden move to Mr. Kim's house. Heyun quickly settled Miri in her now-grounded crib. "Do Yoon remember what we practiced?" He nodded seriously. "No talking about space stuff or showing off my new toys." The doorbell rang, and Heyun went to answer it. Jai-Ho stood there, holding a bag of takeout food and looking worried. "Heyun, I know it's late, but we need to talk. You've been different since Mr. Kim died. I'm worried about you." Heyun let her friend in, knowing this moment would come eventually. Jai-Ho had known her since college, and they had helped each other through many hard times. They sat in the living room, which now looked perfectly normal thanks to teacher's quick work hiding all the alien technology. But as Jai-Ho put the food containers on the coffee table, one of Snow's toys, a small ball that usually floated and changed colors, rolled out from under the couch. Jai-Ho picked it up, and it immediately began to glow in her hand. Her eyes widened. "Heyun, what is this?" Before Heyun could think of an explanation, Miri started crying upstairs. But this wasn't a normal cry. It was the special one that made all the lights in the house flicker. Jai-Ho stood up, still holding the glowing toy. "What's going on? And don't tell me it's nothing. I've known you too long." Heyun looked at her friend's concerned face and made a decision. Teacher had warned her she might need to tell someone eventually, someone she could trust completely. "Jai-Ho, you might want to sit down. Remember how you always said Mr. Kim seemed a bit different?" Over the next hour, Heyun explained everything. Jai-Ho listened without interrupting, her eyes getting wider as Heyun demonstrated some of the simple technology she had learned to use. When Heyun finally finished, Jai-Ho was quiet for a long moment. "So, you're telling me you're now the owner of an alien business empire, and that sweet baby upstairs is actually an alien princess. Well, not exactly a princess, but yes to the rest." Jai-Ho looked at the glowing ball in her hand, then at the ceiling where Miri's room was. "That actually explains a lot. Like why you suddenly stopped worrying about money, and why Do-Yoon's grades in science got so much better. Are you afraid?" Heyun asked quietly. Jai-Ho laughed. "Afraid? Heyun, this is amazing, but you can't do this alone. You need help, someone to cover for you at work when you have to deal with space business, someone to watch the kids when you need to take those crystal lessons." Heyun felt tears in her eyes. "You mean you want to help?" "Of course I want to help. Besides, I've always wanted to be the cool aunt. Now I can be the cool alien aunt." From upstairs, they heard Do-Yoon explaining dinosaurs to Miri, who was making happy gurgling sounds that made the lights dance. Teacher's voice spoke in Heyun's mind. "Jai-Ho's authorization has been added to the house systems. Her help will be valuable." That night, after Jai-Ho left with promises to return tomorrow, Heyun sat in the nursery watching her children sleep. Do-Yoon had insisted on moving his bed into Miri's room to protect her from space pirates. Now he slept peacefully, while his little sister glowed softly in her floating crib. Heyun touched the crystal around her neck. "Teacher, show me more about those trading routes. If I'm going to run a space business, I need to understand everything." As the hologram appeared, Heyun smiled. Her family might not be normal, but it was perfect in its own way. And now, with Jai-Ho's help, she felt ready for whatever challenges the galaxy might throw at them. In her crib, Miri smiled in her sleep, and for just a moment, the whole room filled with tiny floating stars. 3 months had passed since Jai-Ho learned their secret. Heyun was in the kitchen making breakfast when teacher gave an urgent alert. The crystal around her neck turned warm against her skin. "Heyun, there's a problem. Someone is questioning your right to own the trading stations." She nearly dropped the rice bowl she was holding. "What do you mean?" "Mr. Kim made everything legal. A company called Starpath Corporation is claiming that humans cannot legally own Commonwealth properties. They have filed a challenge in the Galactic Business Court. Do-yoon came into the kitchen, already dressed for school. At 10 years old, he had grown taller and more responsible since becoming a big brother. "Mom, is everything okay?" Teacher feels worried. Hae-yeon tried to smile. "Everything's fine, sweetheart. Just some business stuff I need to handle." She finished packing his lunch and handed it to him. "Remember, Aunt Jiho is picking you up from school today." After Do-yoon left, Hae-yeon went to check on Miri. The baby was 6 months old now, and her alien traits were becoming more noticeable. Her hair changed color based on her mood, and she could make small objects float when she laughed. "Teacher, tell me more about this Starpath Corporation," Hae-yeon said while changing Miri's diaper. A hologram appeared, showing a tall building made of black crystal. Starpath Corporation is run by the Lee family. They were Mr. Kim's main competitors in the transport business. They have been trying to buy his trading routes for 30 years. So this isn't really about humans owning property. They just want to take over the business. Correct. But there's more. Teacher showed another image, this one of a woman with sharp features. This is Lee Min-ah, the company's leader. She knew Mr. Kim before he came to Earth. They have history. Hae-yeon picked up Miri, who was now making happy gurgling sounds that created tiny rainbows in the air. What kind of history? Lee Min-ah and Mr. Kim were supposed to get married 50 years ago. It was a business arrangement between their families. But Mr. Kim discovered that the Lee family was doing illegal things, selling dangerous weapons to pirates. He broke off the marriage and ran away to Earth. So that's why he was hiding here, Hae-yeon said softly. She looked at Miri, whose hair was now a peaceful blue color. "But why didn't he tell me this before?" "He wanted to protect you and the children. The less you knew about his enemies, the safer you would be. But now you need to know everything to protect your rights and Miri's inheritance." The doorbell rang. It was Jiho, who had started coming over every morning before work. She took one look at Hae-yeon's face and knew something was wrong. What happened? Hae-yeon explained about Starpath Corporation while Jiho made fresh coffee. When she finished, Jiho was quiet for a moment, thinking. "So basically, this is like a chaebol trying to take over a smaller company," Jiho said, referring to the big Korean business groups. "They're using the fact that you're human as an excuse." "Yes, but I don't know how to fight them. I barely understand how Earth business works, let alone space business." Jiho smiled. "But that's exactly why you can win. They expect you to think like them, to play by their rules. But you're a human mom. You think differently." Miri made a happy sound, and her hair turned bright yellow. A few toys started floating around her head. "Teacher," Hae-yeon said suddenly, "show me everything about Commonwealth business laws. And I mean everything." For the next week, Hae-yeon studied harder than she ever had before. Jiho took care of the children, while Hae-yeon learned about laws, contracts, and business practices. She discovered something interesting. Nowhere in Commonwealth law did it say humans couldn't own property. In fact, there were no laws about species ownership at all. But she found something else, strict laws about caring for children of different species. The Commonwealth took the protection of children very seriously. Every trading station had to have special areas for children of all species. Anyone who put children at risk would lose their business rights immediately. Hae-yeon started looking into Starpath Corporation's trading stations. They had no facilities for children. They didn't even have proper medical bays for different species. "Teacher, can you help me send a message to the Galactic Business Court?" The crystal glowed warmly. "Of course. What would you like to say?" Hae-yeon smiled. "Tell them I accept their challenge to prove I'm a worthy owner. Ask them to inspect all trading stations in this sector, mine and Starpath's, for proper safety measures and species support facilities." 3 days later, Hae-yeon received an official response. Starpath Corporation had withdrawn their challenge. But Yun wasn't finished. She sent another message, offering to help Starpath upgrade their stations to meet safety standards, for a reasonable fee, of course. That evening, as she told Jaho and Du-Yun about what happened, Miri crawled across the floor, leaving a trail of twinkling lights behind her. "Mom," Du-Yun said proudly, "you beat the space bad guys." Jaho laughed. She did more than that. She showed them that being human, being a mom, makes her better at this job, not worse. Yun picked up Miri, who had managed to crawl up the wall, and was now sitting on the ceiling, giggling. "I just did what any mom would do. I protected my family." Teacher's voice spoke in their minds. "Starpath Corporation has accepted your offer to upgrade their stations. They are also requesting a meeting to discuss possible cooperation in the future." "See," Jaho said, "you turned enemies into customers. That's some serious mom power right there." Later that night, after the children were asleep, Yun sat in Mr. Kim's old study, looking at the stars through his special window that could see past Earth's light pollution. She touched the crystal around her neck. "Teacher, I think I finally understand why Mr. Kim chose me. Being a mom isn't just about taking care of children. It's about making the world better for them." "Correct," Teacher replied. "And now you've made the galaxy a little better too." Above her head, Seoul's night sky seemed to twinkle in agreement, though maybe that was just Miri dreaming about stars again. 1 year had passed since Mr. Kim left his fortune to Yun. The house had changed a lot since then. The living room now had a special play area where Miri could float safely when her powers appeared. Du-Yun had turned one of the spare rooms into a study space where he learned about different alien species and their cultures. Yun sat in the garden, watching her children play while she had a video call with an alien trade partner. Teacher projected the alien's image in the air. They looked like a tall, friendly tree with glowing leaves. "Your idea about sharing Earth's veterinary medicine has been very successful," the tree alien said. "Our animals have never been healthier. We want to open more pet care centers on other trading stations." "That's wonderful news," Yun replied. "I can send more trained staff from Earth. Many veterinarians would love to learn about caring for alien animals." The call ended, and Ji-ho came out with coffee. She now worked full-time as Yun's assistant, helping manage both the Earth business and space trades. "Another success?" Ji-ho asked, sitting down. "Yes, it turns out that being a vet tech was perfect training for this job. Every species loves their pets, even if those pets are made of crystal or breathe fire." Miri, now 18 months old, floated by them, chasing soap bubbles that changed color when she touched them. Du-Yun ran after her with a butterfly net, making sure she didn't float too high. "Mom," Du-Yun called out, "Miri's doing the sparkly thing again." Yun looked up to see her daughter surrounded by a gentle glow. This happened sometimes when Miri was very happy. Teacher had explained that it was normal for her species. "It's okay, sweetheart. Just make sure she stays in the garden. We don't want the neighbors to see." Just then, Teacher gave an alert. "Yun, there's an important message from the Commonwealth Council." A new hologram appeared, showing a group of different alien species sitting at a large table. One of them, who looked like a kind grandmother made of silver mist, spoke first. "Yun Park of Earth, we have been watching your management of the Kim family holdings with great interest. Your innovations in trade, especially in medical care and family services, have impressed us. We would like to offer you a position on the council." Yun nearly dropped her coffee. "But I'm human, and I've only been doing this for a year." "Exactly," said another council member, who looked like a friendly blue octopus. "You have brought fresh ideas to old problems. Your trading stations are now the safest and most profitable in 3 sectors. And most importantly, you have shown that caring for others is good business. We also know about the special child in your care," the misty grandmother added. "Miri comes from an ancient and respected lineage. By raising her with such love and understanding, you have proven that humans are ready to join the greater galactic community." Hei-yun looked at her children playing in the garden. Miri had learned to make her sparkles match the colors of Do-yoon's favorite dinosaur pictures. They were so different, yet they fit together perfectly. What would this council position mean for my family? You would help make rules for trade between Earth and other worlds. The blue octopus explained. Your home would be officially recognized as an embassy of Earth, and your children would be protected by Commonwealth law. Can I think about it? Of course, the misty grandmother said kindly. We will wait for your answer. After the council members disappeared, Ho-hyun turned to Jae-ho. What do you think? I think Mr. Kim would be proud, Jae-ho said. He didn't just choose someone to take care of his business and his daughter. He chose someone who could help bring Earth into the galactic community. That evening, Hei-yun had a family meeting. She sat with Do-yoon, Miri, and Ji-ho in the living room, which now had stars dancing on the ceiling thanks to Miri's happy mood. If we accept this, she explained to Do-yoon, things will change. More aliens might visit us. You might have to keep bigger secrets from your school friends. Do-yoon thought about it while holding his sister's hand. Miri was trying to make her hair match the color of his school uniform. But we'll be helping people, right? He asked. Like how you help sick animals feel better, but now for the whole galaxy. Hei-yun smiled. Yes, something like that. Then we should do it, Do-yoon said firmly. And I can teach Miri about Earth things, so she knows both worlds, like me. Miri made a happy sound that caused all the furniture to float a few inches off the ground. I think that's a yes from her too, Jae-ho laughed. The next morning, Hei-yun sent her answer to the council. Within an hour, their house shimmed slightly as special shields went up, invisible to humans but strong enough to protect them from any threat. Teacher's voice was warm with approval. The Embassy of Earth is now officially established. Would you like to see the new improvements to the house? Hei-yun looked around her home. The walls now had hidden panels that could show views from any planet in the Commonwealth. The garden had a special dome where Miri could fly safely without being seen. Even Snow, their quantum cat, had a new play area where she could practice existing in multiple places at once. You know what this means, right? Jae-ho said with a grin. You're technically Earth's first alien ambassador. Hei-yun watched as Do-yoon showed Miri his homework, carefully explaining what numbers were while Miri made them float and dance in the air. No, Hei-yun said softly. I'm just a mom who got a bigger family than she expected. The ambassador part is just extra. That night, as Hei-yun tucked her children into bed, she thought about how much her life had changed in just 1 year. She had gone from struggling to pay bills to helping shape the future of Earth's relationship with the galaxy. But the most important things hadn't changed. She was still a mom, still taking care of her family, just on a much larger scale. Teacher glowed softly in the dark. Mr. Kim would be very proud of what you've built. We built it together, Hei-yun said, looking at her sleeping children. All of us, as a family. Above them, real stars twinkled through the special window. And somewhere out there, trading stations hummed with activity, medical centers cared for creatures of all kinds, and the galaxy was slowly becoming a better place. All because one human mom knew that love and care were universal languages, no matter what planet you came from.